And we're back. You're listening to the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. Give a shout out to all of our ESPN Radio and Fox Sports Radio listeners. Glad you guys could join us today. Don't forget, on February 27th, if you're in the Western New York area, JKJ Boxing is putting on a great show up in Syracuse at the Holiday Inn. Visit the website, www.jkjboxing.com, to find out all the information about the card and to buy yourself some tickets. It's going to be another good show by JKJ Boxing Promotions. They're looking to get the next world champ. That's their goal. So get yourself some tickets. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you and demand the Billy C discount. www.jkjboxing.com. Well, joining us right now, she's been not with us lately, not because of her, because of our schedule and everything. She's back, the beautiful Emily Harney. What's up, Em?
How you doing? Well, that was a cool intro, but it is a little bit of me. I mean, it's not all you guys. You know, my schedule gets snafu too, so
Come
it's not
on,
all on you.
I can't,
I'll take a little bit of that heat.
I can't blame you. I don't want. You're the last person I want to get mad at. Get mad at me. But hey, by the way, before we get started, congratulations on that great piece that was out. I had gotten a copy. Actually, one of the guys in the chat room, my man Coach, sent it to me before I got your little email. Why don't you tell the viewers and listeners where they can read up on all the accolades about Emily Harney?
Sure. Thank you very much, by the way. On the Boston Globe today's lifestyle section, there is an awesome piece about my work in boxing in the last 15 years done by Mark Shanahan. So if you go to thebostonglobe.com, you can check it out there. And, of course, if you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you can find it there, too.
Great. And everybody can go into your column, too, on BillyCBoxing.com and get to all your connections. So definitely check it out. It's a great piece. And like I always say, what do I always say? Who's the best photographer in boxing? Emily Harney, and she's on the phone right now. Emily, I wanted to get your thoughts on several things. First and foremost, let's talk about the big fight that was just recently announced. I'm getting a lot of different opinions on Saul Canelo Alvarez against Amir Khan. It clearly caught everybody, at least everyone I know, off guard. I mean, nobody was expecting Canelo, and nobody was expecting Amir Khan to fight. I mean, we had so many other fights. People were mentioning Amir Khan's name. What's your thought about the fight initially, and do you have an early prediction?
Well, I was kind of shocked, too. You know, I thought the two top dogs that were, in the running were Gabriel Rosado and Willie Mongoose. And I'm probably just as shocked as everybody else. I think that this is a tougher road for Canelo. And the reason for that is because this kid is so flippin' hungry at this point. You know, he's been passed up for all of these other potential big fights. He could be a game changer. You know, I don't know if he has that ability because, again, he's been out of the ring for a little bit against some quality guys. But he could always be a game changer. I mean, any of those guys could have really been a game changer, but I think, the other two potentials that were really being thrown around were more, they just seemed more fitting for where he is hoping to go after this fight, and that's by Triple G. So, he's fighting somebody who, again, has been passed up over and over and over again for all these big fights. This kid wants to flip and fight. And I think he's going to go balls to the wall. So I just hope that Canelo is prepared for that. I don't have an early prediction yet. I kind of want to see how things transition. I would like to see the fight between Canelo and Triple G happen. But at the same time, I love game changers.
By the way, they're congratulating you in the chat room, so just go read it.
Okay.
Stop just typing. Now I got to look at that. No, just go read it, right? But anyway.
Listen to me first, then go read it.
Exactly. I think you're right. Everybody's like, oh my God, oh he's so small, oh Canelo this and that, oh then everybody's mentioning the catch weight, which we're all pissed about. He's a middleweight champion, and now he's got his own weight class. And I started thinking, and I didn't look at it like the way you are using that term, game changer, but I agree with you because when I look at Canelo, and just put this in your memory banks, because obviously we're going to be talking about this fight many times before it happens. But, the one weakness about Canelo, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that this guy, technically is a sound fighter and everything, but his biggest weakness, in my opinion, is his inability to fight a fighter with hand speed and mobility. He kind of has to lock himself in place before he lets his hands go. We saw him on full display without being able to do that against Floyd, and subsequently with anyone that kind of moves around, it gives him a little trouble. So with that said, Amir Khan is, got great footwork, and he's probably the fastest hands in the sport of boxing. So I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for Canelo. I think that Canelo might be thinking he's just going to knock him. Everybody thinks Amir Khan's got a glass chin, and obviously Canelo's bigger in terms of bulk, but not height. I was shocked to see them standing next to each other, and Amir Khan is taller and got a longer reach. So I think you might be right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, too, is, he can have a glass chin, but Canelo needs to get to that. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. I just think this was a tougher road for him. First time I read it, I think it was on, one of the social media outlets, and I'm like, this is it, right? This is going to be some fake nonsense. And then I keep going, like, an hour later, and I'm like, wait, there's more stories on this. This is really happening. So, his name wasn't even thrown around, at least not to us anyways, So, I don't know. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, when I first read it, I'm like, oh, man, Amir Khan, that's what it... And then I started thinking to myself, and I'm going, wait a minute, man, this could be a trap fight of all trap fights. I mean, it really could. I'm actually looking forward to it. But then immediately after that, we hear... Now, I know you're a big Triple G fan. I certainly am, and I think that this guy is probably one of the best out there, obviously in his weight division, but even beyond that in the pound-for-pound rankings. Nobody wants to fight him, and a lot of fans give him slack for not fighting anybody, and I'm always like, well, you can't really blame the guy when nobody else wants to fight him. And then it's announced that he's going to fight Dominic Wade in April on HBO. What's your thoughts about that fight?
I think this is kind of to me, that's a win fight for him. Dominic, I'm sure, is going to come in there and be at his best, but just what I've experienced with Triple G, there's really nobody that I'm thinking is gonna handle him. I mean, Canelo might be able to go a little further with him, but I've just been at the ringside to hear the devastating knockout punch on all of these people, and I don't know, he's got all of this, skill set and power, and he's able to work it. He's able to adjust. You saw him adjust against David Lemieux. So, I don't know. I think that this is an easy fight for him. Not that he shouldn't train hard for it, but I just think this is an easier walk than Canelo's taken.
It's funny because, everybody always says how big Triple G is and everything. He's really not that big of a middleweight. I mean, and Dominic Wade, what he represents, at least, when you look at it, because everybody's going to obviously knock Triple G for this fight. But when you look at Dominic Wade, first of all, he's an up-and-coming young gun fighter, which is very rare. We don't see champions that are, milking their title with defenses. We don't see them going after this type of fighter, a young gun with power and physically bigger than Triple G. So I guess there are some positives, but like you and like most people, Triple G's just in a different class. Nobody listen, I was saying the other day, nobody cuts the ring off and uses, where we use that term ring generalship like Triple G. No one, including Floyd. Triple G is just a master at controlling where his opponent's going to go. I think he knows where his opponent's going to go before his opponent knows where they're going to go. Absolutely.
I think he's mentally and physically sound, and, technically he's got it all together. Each fight's going to be different for him, no doubt, but he reminds me of a chess player. He's really able to adjust to whoever he's fighting, however he's fighting, and whatever move he needs to make, he can figure it out before he's even at that step. It's like he's 2 steps ahead of where he needs to be before he throws his next combination.
Great analogy. What came today, just to finish this circus, Kell Brook, who was really trying to negotiate a fight with Amir Khan, is totally pissed off, and he has physically issued a challenge through his promoter to Triple G to fight at 155. Kell Brook at 155. Obviously, Triple G is already set, and actually, Kell Brook has a mandatory against Kevin Biznier from out of Canada. But a potential showdown between Kell Brook and Triple G, you like or you no like or what?
I think that's, well, I think the Wade situation is interesting because he is such a young fighter, like you said. But Kell Brook, I think he's add a different side of interest to the fight. I think he's a hungry, like you said, pissed off fighter, that he didn't get what he wanted. And so I can see him, not only being, ready to fight, going balls to the wall like, Khan's gonna, but also just, a character, a showpiece. And that would be, I think, the difference between him and Wade against Triple G. But, I think the Triple G team is being smart in what they're doing, too. They're not ducking anybody by any means, but I think they need to take the smart road. You don't want your guy to get hurt. You don't want to fight somebody that's just going to be a wild man. And if that's the kind of, pissed off attitude that Brooks might come with, that's where you face your danger. Even though Triple G might fare well and he might win, I just don't think it's a smart fight for him.
Interesting. Because it seems like the big name for the big money fight for Triple G is also eluding him. Not only are the fighters ducking him, but with it comes the big payday, and that's something that Canelo Alvarez and Amir Khan clearly are going to get. Whether people like Amir Khan or not, he's a good draw, and that's going to be that fight's going to do well numbers wise. So
I think that comes with marketing too. As great as Triple G is as a package and the person and the way he speaks and what he does, I still think he can be marketed a lot better than he is. And that's up to management and promoters, to do that on their end. I think Canelo just fits into a different field with who he is in terms of where he comes from, what he looks like and how he holds himself. And the same thing with Khan. There's different characters in these guys, and those two, they benefit off of that. And I think that's something that Triple G's team needs to kind of help him with. And it's not that you fabricate it. I think that you just have to market him the right way, and you create that fan base that's going to get you those paydays.
You're right, and you're the second person that has said that exact thing this week, and you're right. At the end of the day, Triple G is everybody. It's a catch-22 because every time he goes someplace, they sell out. The fans are always there, but yet
the TV numbers are I think that's where sometimes they fall short. People catch them afterwards. That's the thing, too. Like, when people ask me, oh, who you cover it? And I say Triple G, they're like, I've heard of him. Make sure watch the fight. And they're like, yeah, I'll catch it later. And it's like, well, why isn't the excitement there for him? He's a really interesting specimen in this business. You don't find guys like that all that often. But, K2, give me a call. I'll help you market them.
There you go. Emily's working that one, baby. Come on.
Teaching photography. What else can we do?
There you go. And nothing for nothing, but totally off topic. But Andre Ward is the same way. Andre Ward has never been promoted. Exactly. As good as he was. Now, and I say was because I'm not one of these guys that just automatically are anointing him to take his position where he left it because the guy hasn't been in the ring. I think there's a chance he, the best times he sat out of the ring. So we won't know until he fights a real fight. But the same thing, so many people, he can't even sell out his own local venues when he fights in California.
And he's a good-looking kid. When he was in Creed, I could hear half the girls in the audience go, who's he? Even my girlfriends are like, who's he? I'm like, he's a real fighter. Really? I've never seen him fight. How come you've never taken us to see him fight? So you know that he has that marketability. He's got it, whether he speaks or, he fights, but it just hasn't been done for him.
Yeah, well, hopefully Rock Nation will help him a bit now. But big fight this past weekend. Sergey Kovalev against Jean Pascal. It was the rematch. A lot of interesting stuff went on in this fight. If you're a Kovalev fan, I mean, he totally battered Jean Pascal. And a couple of interesting points. Number one, at the end of the day, I mean, really, I know everything. There's nothing I can ask you about this fight that we don't already know, and you've seen Kovalev many times. But there's some other interesting tidbits. Like number one, there's a lot of outrage right now, and I can't believe that people are actually saying this. And I've gotten emails on it. People have made comments in the chat room. There is actually a feeling that Sergey Kovalev was too rough on Jean Pascal, and that he shouldn't have, he should have finished him off rather than, put the beating on him for longer and longer to make him suffer more. What's your thoughts on that suggestion that a fighter is being criticized for beating up his opponent too much?
Talk to the ref.
Exactly. Well, that was you just. What did you read?
What did you? What they do? You get mad at them if they don't knock them out. You're mad at them if they beat them up. Like, what the hell?
I know. What did you read? Did you already read my show? Because that's the next thing. Because my next thing to you is, what the hell? What about the referee? I mean, why didn't the referee stop it? I mean, what are you looking at? I mean, if you're a referee and you're seeing a guy getting pummeled without, there was one round he didn't even, I don't think he threw one punch. I think maybe he threw one, and he was taking a beating, and Kovalev is working a body, then he steps back. Then he goes and Jean Pascal's looking at like, somebody help me, and the referee, whether he's a hometown guy or what, just didn't stop the fight. Then let me ask you this. What's your thoughts of Freddie Roach, okay, when he's in the corner and the whole corner, now this was Freddie Roach's first time with Jean Pascal, okay? He's in the corner and the rest of the corner all collectively wants to stop the fight, okay? Mm-hmm. And Freddie Roach, says, we're stopping the fight. Jean Pascal isn't really complaining during this round. It was the following round when he did. And he's going, we're stopping the fight. And they're all patting him, and they're saying, don't worry, you'll live to fight another day. And then Freddie says, do you want me to stop the fight? And Jean Pascal says, no. He says, well, then show me something. And he sends him out again. And that was the round that he gets totally beat up, right? Then he comes back, and Freddie says, I'm stopping the fight. And that's when Jean Pascal begged him not to. And Freddie turns to the referee and says, hey, listen, keep an eye on my kid. He's, stop the fight. I'm saying to myself, what the hell just happened? If I'm the referee, Emily, I say to the trainer, I go, dude, if you're afraid to send your fighter out, I'm gonna stop it right now. What's happened? What's your thoughts on all of that?
Do you think that's the inability to read your fighter because this is your first fight with him?
I think it's him being too tough. But he's not taking the punches. You know how these trainers are. Hey, listen.
Agreed. I mean, Pascal, it needed to stop. But I mean, do you I don't know. I've never been in that position. I mean, I know behind my camera I'm saying stop the fight. But that's not my decision. But do you not know your fighter enough to say, okay, maybe he is serious, maybe he can come back, But, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those situations, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, no matter who you are. Because if Freddie let him continue, we would be hearing right now, he got him punished and blah, blah, blah. And instead we're hearing, Kovalev got him punished, yet the fight ended because Freddie stopped it and the ref never did. So Kovalev just did his job. That just cracks me up that people really have to say that he punished him. Well, yeah, he did, but that's what he's supposed to be doing, Exactly. You're not going to go easy on the guy because at some point he may throw a haymaker, he may hit your chin, he may knock you out.
Exactly.
Arthur Sleeker never saw that punch coming. Nobody did.
Excellent.
And it was that one shot that down.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I never trained or worked with Jean Pascal, and I tell you what. I could see in his eyes he
You know
wanted
he
this
was
fight
done.
to be stopped. So Freddie Roach is right in his face. I think it was a case of, the corner being too tough for the fighter. I mean, the week before we saw it with Amir Mansour. Amir Mansour was winning the fight against Dominic Brazil, was battering him, was doing everything. He bites through his tongue, and ironically enough, I was driving back from Florida, and I had bit my tongue, right, and really bad, but it was bleeding for a little while and stuff, and I couldn't even talk for 2 days. I mean, it was the most painful thing, but I certainly didn't bite through my tongue. I didn't get 38 stitches in my tongue, and this guy bites his tongue. And his corner guy is throwing his hat around like he's so disappointed that he's quitting. And Amir Mansour is saying, I can't close my mouth. I can't, I mean, you could see the guy is not a quitter. He just couldn't go on.
Right.
When do you draw the line? I mean, isn't it better after we learn one thing in this sport, Emily? Isn't it better to stop a fight too soon than to wait too long?
Absolutely. I mean, as frustrated as you can be that it didn't go any further, think about everything that's happened without warning. You know what I mean? There are plenty of guys just in this last year alone that there was no warning sign. There wasn't any, pummeling to the head in every consistent fight that they had or round that they were having. And, you got guys that have dropped dead. You have guys that are in comas. We have people that have gone through all kinds of major surgery that are never going to walk, talk, or do much ever again. And there wasn't a warning sign. So, yeah, I mean, I'd rather see a guy stop short to be able to fight another day versus never be able to do anything again.
One last question for you. So now, what's your thoughts on the new heavyweight champion of the world, Charles Martin? Exactly. And I mean, come on, man.
No,
I mean, listen, no disrespect to him, but he's not. How could he be a world champion? I mean, he can't. You can't even. I don't even know what to say.
Listen, I would have a little more respect for the fact that he's holding a belt right now. If he acknowledged at the end of that fight, hey, things happen in this business, and by things. Powers that I have no control over, and this is how it goes, but I'm willing to take the next step to prove myself. He never said that. It was like, I won this fight, I knocked him out, I beat him bad. That was the attitude that he had. And it's like, dude, the dude messed up his leg. You really didn't beat him up. You barely connected any punches with him. And the fights that I've seen him fight in the past is...
I know.
I mean, I know him. I've covered him quite a few times, and I remember reading that he was the co-feature fighting for a world title. I'm like, this can't be the same guy. No.
I know.
Of course it's the same guy. I mean, great that you got that opportunity, but, there are certain paths that you take verbally afterwards that I just think he needs to be a little bit more schooled on.
Hey, listen, nothing for nothing. I've seen Glasgow fight several times. I know he comes to fight. Yeah, I know he comes to fight and everything, but to be honest with you, no disrespect to either one of them, neither one of them are world champion caliber fight heavyweights anyway. And just to suggest that they're fighting each other, and because of it's all the political landscape and the network landscape, and everybody's got a belt. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
But how does that look at home when things go down like that? I remember people texting me like, "This is the co-feature. The main event better be a lot better." You said the heavyweights might be interesting tonight. I'm like, just hold on. Watch the main event. At least people got their viewership worth watching the main event. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wonder how these guys are going to be able to survive as they move forward in that position. He's not. I mean, you haven't really fought anybody of any caliber, and now you're going to have to step in there with, some sort of mandatory that's probably going to knock your socks off.
Yeah, but that's the joke of it. The mandatories come out of left field. Oh, we got to fight this mandatory, and we're like, who is that guy? I've never heard of him. Oh, yeah, he's number 12. Number 12, and sure enough, he just appears at number 12. And it's like, that's the joke of it, and the other fight that you mentioned, of course, Deontay Wilder or Torspitska, Spitzka was the best opponent that Deontay Wilder had, and it was a close fight until he crushed him. It really was. It was a close fight. I thought I loved that fight until Deontay Wilder, totally crushed Tor. But the truth of the matter is that he really, as sad as it sounds, that was the toughest opponent that Deontay has faced, and he's the champion, pounding his chest, saying he's the best in the world.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Messed up business, but we love it.
Yeah, I know. It's that's why I tell everybody it's worse than being an alcoholic or a drug addict. Well, at least if you're a drug addict, you could go get rehab. You could, if you're an alcoholic, you could join AA. Once you get into boxing, you're stuck. There's no help for us.
Yeah, no, there isn't. You just complain to everybody else that isn't in it.
And they don't even listen anymore. They don't even listen. So anyway, Emily, it was great having you back, and we look forward to your thoughts next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good week.
All right, take care. That's the beautiful Emily Harney. Now, you could check out Emily's column up on BillyCBoxing.com, and you can get to her other contact information. And if you didn't get a chance to see the write-up on the Boston Globe, check it out. It is online. It's a great piece on Emily Harney. So,